Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 103 of our trip around the United States. And may I welcome you to Nebraska. Today is our first official full day in Nebraska. Sure, we covered a lot of miles here yesterday, but we spent so much time playing around between South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska that it was really a tri-state day. It wasn't really a Nebraska day. Today is a Nebraska day. And the route today is quite simple. We've got 430 miles to cover, and we're gonna be pushing west along the northern edge of the state, all the way up until the ground we've already covered. Once we get as far as we can go west, that's the end of our day. The target list for today looks a lot like what we were seeing in the Dakotas. It's almost all traditional and nothing else. All of these targets are really just to get us from one county and page to the next. And once we get to Cherry County, it's really all about the pages, because Cherry County is a very large county compared to those much smaller page sizes. So we'll be bouncing around quite a bit in that county to make sure we got it all. We do not have a heavy target list though. It's really just the things we need to get in each county and page and then moving on. So today is gonna fly right by. As the last 102 days have proven, there's always something to see, and we're gonna bring it straight to you. So come on, let's go see Nebraska together. Let's go. After catching some sleep in O'Neill, we made our way into Spencer to start the day. With a population of only around 400, this is actually one of the bigger towns we visited today, so we were very surprised to discover a Veterans Memorial right down Main Street. The best way to start any geocaching day. Noticing Ellwanger on our route, I decided to stop by so I could get the dog out for a walk this morning. With so many open plains and rolling hills full of grass, it's nice to have a forested area to walk through this morning, even if it is a man-made one. And with the return of the trees, we see once again the return of the birdhouse, the classic style that we love so much. Let's see what we've got going on in here. It looks like the top pulls up, and then we can pull the lock and lock from out inside of the container. It's a little difficult to hold the roof up and remove the container with just one hand, but I managed to make it happen. It certainly helps that I've been practicing my one-handed geocaching skills since this trip started. Oh yeah, definitely my kind of way to start the day. A regular-sized container with a nice logbook and filled with swag. Affectionately known as the Cornhusker State, it's no surprise to see row after row of cornfield as we drive along the road. What was a bit more surprising was each time we reached a hilltop, we were treated to scenic vistas out over the landscape below us. And since the hills in this region had a lot more volume in the Dakotas, we were treated to a lot better views a lot more frequently than we had been a little further up north. It actually slowed our geocaching for the day down quite a bit when I had to keep stopping off from the drive to take in all of these awesome views. This is definitely a very lonely part of the map, but what a beautiful drive. The bulk of today's route took place in the Sandhills, which is a region of mixed grass prairie on grass-stabilized sand dunes in the whole northern central part of Nebraska. This range of sandhills stretches on for 265 miles across the state, in total encompassing an area of approximately 19,000 square miles. Some of these dunes are absolutely massive, reaching up to as far as 400 feet high and stretching out as far as 20 miles in some places. Not only is this the largest sand dune formation in the Western Hemisphere, it is also one of the largest grass-stabilized dune regions in the whole world. And it really is the grass that makes this area stand out from so many other sand dunes. Without it, these dunes would continue shifting and blowing away, reforming themselves with each passing day. But the grass helps to anchor the sand and keep it in place. There is no other ecosystem on Earth that shares the unique characteristics of the sandhills found here in Nebraska. It is easy to lose a whole day here just driving the roads and enjoying the views over the dunes. Well, we are approaching the end of our route for the day, and it has not really been much of a geocaching day. We've done a lot of one and dones. The others have either had sorted histories and we want to play with it, or we just straight up DNF the alternates. But we did get at least 1 or 2 finds in each county. And now it looks like we have an opportunity to find a pretty good one out here. It should be right ahead of us. Oh, well, I can see the color now. The fact of the matter is that this is the better kind of the geocaches we've been finding today. very happy with this because any geocache out here means I can count another page as complete. And that is not easy to do out here in Cherry County. These geocaches have become few and far between. This grass is pretty much the only thing keeping this dune in place. If you look really closely, it's just sand underneath here. And this grass is tolerant enough to be able to grow into it, create a whole system out here, and keep this dune from shifting away. Pretty impressive. Nestled within the sandhills, entirely within Cherry County, you can find Samuel McKelvie National Forest. Although the word forest here is used a bit loosely. The area consists of 116,000 square acres, but only a small portion of that is actually forested. And most of that is man-made, being planted by hand over 75 years ago. This unique habitat is able to support wildlife such as pronghorns, white-tailed deer, mule deer, coyotes, foxes, and over 150 species of birds. It is also the habitat for the only active geocache in DeLorme page 19, which meant that a stop here was a must. The Stake Creek Campground hosts hiking trails that lead the way through the forest to the geocache. However, staying on this trail is difficult, to say the least, as it fades in and out of sight along the way. It's about 1/3 of a mile straight line distance from parking to the cache, but with the meandering of the trail, it's about a 1 mile round trip. And you know you're getting close to the prize when you see the biggest hill that you've come across yet. You can take your time ascending up to the top and then enjoy the view as you work to catch your breath again before going to hunt down the geocache just around the corner. Fortunately, with so much spacing between the trees and so little ground cover, it's pretty easy to spot the prize once you get there. And what better reward can a geocacher ask for after a journey like this than finding an ammo can? And there we have it, the only active geocache in Nebraska's DeLorme page. During the planning process, I really didn't like planning the pages around Cherry County because there are very few geocaches, and the ones that there were on the map were very specific on how you got to route to them, how easy they were to get to, daylight hours, access. But now that I'm out here and I'm running through Cherry County and I'm going the long way through the dunes to be able to find the geocaches for the pages, it's turned out to be a pretty awesome day. The drives are well worthwhile out here, if for no other reason, because obviously the geocaches are few and far between. Although they do have some good ones. After the long drive out of the forest, we made our way over to Gordon, the biggest town we've seen today, with a population of nearly 1,600. Completed by American Legion Post 34 in 2003, it's impossible to miss this AH-1 Cobra helicopter as you make your way into town. Not that we would have passed it up for a second. For our last stop of the day, we had to make the pilgrimage up to the Mari Sandoz gravesite. It is quite the journey to get there, down a long sand road that winds past a clanking windmill and ends on a patch of grass at the base of a hill. The mailbox immediately next to the marker contains a logbook for visitors who have made the pilgrimage up to the site. But at the base, you can find the geocache container for all of the geocachers who have made the pilgrimage out to the site. Having not been found since summer of last year, I was more than happy to add my ink onto the logbook for this lonely find, and then enjoy the last remaining rays of sunshine before the sun finishes its descent below the horizon for another day. Well, travelers, that brings a wrap to our first full day out here in Nebraska. And I had no idea what to expect coming into the day, and it definitely wasn't what I would have expected. I expected today to be a hassle day. And in some regards it was, because there were geocaches that were very few and far between and hard to get to. But the road to get to those geocaches was magnificent. We enjoyed driving through the forest today just as much as we did through those dunes. It was an amazing drive that took hours and hours and hours. But somehow, despite having a 430-mile day today, which is the longest we've taken on yet, we still finished with sunlight in the sky. I am not entirely sure how that happened, but hey, I'm enjoying it. So we're going to push a little further into tomorrow's route until that sunlight's completely gone, and then we'll find a good place to stop and call it a day. We appreciate you guys joining us. We hope you enjoyed all the scenic sights here in northern Nebraska, because that's pretty much all there is out here. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll will see you out on the trails.